Okay, this is a temporary tryout of two things. So yeah, so I wanted to organise like a live screen, and it's not easy because the little screen that I bought didn't quite work. So I'm using my phone and the Wi-Fi setup. So I think I've checked everything. So now I can just pull this down. I should be able to. No, not quite. Do that, and there we go. And it's me, and I can see me much better. So yeah, so before we go in any further, yeah, new haircut, just like the old haircut, and that got 6,500 views. So yes, now we are filming, and I have a much better framing thing. Needs a bit of work, it's in a really bad place, but we do what we can with what we've got. So yeah, so it's Wednesday the 11th of December. Tomorrow is the UK's general election, and there's a bit of lag, but at least I can see. I've had a shave, all sorts of things. So I got my hair cut yesterday, and there was a small baby Wookie of hair lying on the barbershop floor. He was quite amazed. It did take a while to get it all cut off. So yeah, haircut, and hopefully this evening I'm getting my tattoo after I film this. Packed everything down. So if you're in the UK, you better get out and vote. And I'm starting off the new year with a new haircut, new tattoo, new watch, all new kinds of things, new video series. It'll probably be on a new video channel because we've got to game those stats on YouTube, get the information out to as many people as possible. So if you want to stay with it, yeah, there'll be a whole Project Morlock or the culture thing. And believe me, I did have a long hard think about using the K for culture, because it could symbolise the clan, but you know, I don't think you can stop you avoiding letters. So, unless people out there in internet land, you think it should start with a Q, the culture, question everything. I don't know. It'd certainly be rather unique, I think. I haven't checked the interwebs. But yes, so it could be the culture. But yeah, and it looks like the first batch of people ready to be declared the Eloy are going to be self-selecting tomorrow when we vote, and the retarded people out there in Voterland will all vote for Donald Trump light, and the Tories believing that their lot's going to change whilst gammoning on about get Brexit done. Yeah. See, when they're talking about sovereignty, which is a big thing for them, when they say, oh, you'll get your sovereignty back, they don't mean you'll get sovereignty. They mean they'll get sovereignty over you. So the non-tool users will not use the tool of office. You know, they'll just become tools. You're a tool or you're a tool user. But that's okay. You know, I've got a feeling that the Conservatives are going to win tomorrow, you know. However, it would be an absolutely beautiful day if I woke up on Friday morning to find that Labour had secured a majority. And there's all these people out there voting for what suits them best. You've got middle class people voting for the Greens, wasted vote. Or for the Liberal Democrats, another wasted vote. Really throwing away the chance to make, the UK a world leader in all sorts of things. You know, where's the money coming from? Well, I think you'd find if there was a war or some other kind of fucking disaster, we would find that money quick smart. You know, basically lots of people are wetting their pants, especially if they're business owners, especially if they're the sort of people that like to tell other people what to do. So yeah, it's all rubbish. You know, the Conservatives talking about raising the living wage. You may notice that. The living wage, not the minimum wage. They're two very different things, so don't be confused. The living wage is an opt-in thing for companies to opt into, so they feel like they're doing the decent thing by paying their workers slightly above minimum wage. Whereas the minimum wage is, you've got no choice, that's the least you can pay someone. And you know, I'm okay with being paid the minimum wage, but if we're plunged into a Tory debacle, then yeah, you can kiss the NHS goodbye. What's that? Is that? I don't know what that is. What's that on my shoulder? Is that the? Oh yeah. So there is an artifact, I think. Yeah. So this thing here that keeps popping up, you can see it just here. This is the alarm. I still haven't sorted out this rig yet, but it does mean that I can make sure I'm not looking terrible or marks on my face or anything like that. Because it's a good 15-minute walk, and a lot of things can happen on that 15-minute walk when I'm coming out to these woods. But yeah. So it seems to be automatically recording, and it's also giving me a kind of like a, how long has the camera been on for? So we're at 6 minutes and change, nearly 7. So yeah, so after I've recorded this, I'm going to wander down to the tattooists and see if they're open, and then we'll see what we can do. So let's turn this around. Let's give you some countryside. Yeah, and the only happy thought that's kicking around for me, I'm liking this. I'm liking a bigger frame, so I can hold the camera and film it. It's very muddy, as you can hear from my footsteps. But yeah, so a few things to do. Definitely building one of these freedom boxes. That looks like a great idea. So I've already downloaded the software. I just need to find a USB stick at home and get that installed and up and running, and swear at it and not understand it for a couple of hours, then finally pass the passwords on to Harlequin in Australia, and then we've got like some infrastructure going. Encrypted infrastructure, finally. It's only taken us 10 years. Well, let's get that running. So I'm hoping there will be enough space to record downscaled MP4s of the Cultures videos. Hope we'll be able to store that, because we just won't have the storage to do it otherwise, and provide you guys with some offline storage, and maybe even the Culture library. So I do want to know if you think Q is the beginning of Culture, or a K is better. The K Culture points back at the Sean Kennedy stuff, you know, where we largely all come from. But the Q, I don't know, might be better optics. Things to think about. And yeah, so one of the subscribers, Indigo, he was talking about how they're using dopamine and oxytocin responses in pyramid marketing schemes that are aimed at women. You know, there's sort of like the weird responses now they get that actually pushes people to sort of make better sales and become part of a pyramid marketing scheme, and it seems to be very prevalent online. So that was a good spot, and this is why we really need some diversity. You know, we need people with different bubbles to spot this stuff coming up. So hopefully we'll get an update from India, and yeah, I'll get some responses. Zoo Echoes and et al. Have been suggesting stuff. Digital Whiskey's been suggesting certain videos to be added into, you know, Recomedia, which is always one of the best sections of newsreel, which is still going strong, as I understand, with Misanthropic Gods. Yeah, but as far just quickly going back to that thing with the pyramid marketing scheme, there was some theory on it in the 1970s in a book called I'm OK, You're OK, and it was referred to in a kind of currency level thing of strokes. You know, somebody strokes you, strokes your ego, you stroke their ego back, and that's how things roll. You know, until people start understanding exactly how to monetize that kind of relationship. So yeah, not good. You know, we're being played big style. You know, add into that the Guy Debord concept of the spectacle, and this is why I think we need some, you know, homebrew media. You know, like open source software. It's the antidote to corporate intervention in our lives. You know, obviously there's some media out there that's totally good. You know, there's some stuff that isn't sat there programming you while you watch it. I'm definitely into, you know, I mean, I think that's one of the things where I think if you looked at everybody that was interested in what we do and what we're going to be doing, they're probably all a little bit into their science fiction. You know, they're probably very much on the side of what if type people. So yes, it is interesting. And the only shiny thing probably that's going to happen to me on Friday is I'm going to get to watch at least the first episode of the new season of The Expanse, which is about as hard sci-fi gets. So yeah, it's all good. Hopefully I'll get my tattoo sorted, and tomorrow all the things I'm waiting for in the post will get sorted, and things will roll on. But I've got a horrible suspicion we are going to have to opt right out. So if you're still undecided and you're a young person and you're in the UK, you know, just literally look at the manifesto. You know, yes, it's going to be expensive for the Labour manifesto. It's going to be like £90 billion in the first year. But you know, if we were fighting a war or fighting for all sorts of territories or something like that, we'd be spending that. We've probably spent more than that already this year on being in Afghanistan. Costs a lot of money to keep an army there. But yeah, they are like rebuilding everything, renationalising super important, you know, industries like energy and water and rail. We need those. Ideally, they'd go for steel and some heavy manufacturing and some light manufacturing, some electronics that they could spin up if they needed to. You know, just making us more sturdy as an economy. Then you add in backing up the people that do the actual work, increase minimum wage, adult education options, you know, up to 1 million new jobs in the green manufacturing sector. They wanted to, you know, this is another thing that the Conservatives flushed down the toilet. There was going to be a Tesla factory in the UK. You know, like not just an ordinary factory, a gigafactory where they were going to actually make the batteries and build the cars and sort out all the solar panels and wall battery things, so that we, you know, we'd have an idea of how to build that stuff in this country and the machineries to do it if we needed to. We've got to move away from unsustainable stuff. And I get that a lot of you out there are saying, well, you know, nuclear is probably the only option. And it is. But it's got a bad press and we need to be greener. You know, whereas the Conservatives are backing coal-fired power stations. Labour's also going to start supplying bursaries. You know, the things that I've been talking about, bursaries for people that are doing actually useful degrees, so they don't have to work, so we can get those people with those qualifications into the workplace. Extra childcare, council housing, you know. And most importantly of all, what could be the whole Star Trek turnaround thing, you know, universal basic income trials. And we know what the response to UBI is going to be when they trial it and they come back with the data. It's going to be, it's a really good idea and it's much cheaper. You know, so if you scale down the DWP and just it was universal income instead, everybody gets the same. Couple that with a tight cap on inflation on prices and housing. Again, you know, they could build some really super low cost housing that doesn't cost a lot to rent but is designed to be there for many decades. Like the original council housing. Building houses doesn't cost that much money, it's just that there is a housing market. So if you're in any doubt, you know, My advice would be to vote Labour if you plan to be ill, because the Tories will kill the NHS in the next 5 years. If you plan to be old, where your pension won't get screwed over. If you plan to have freedom of speech. If you're young, if you plan to have children, or if you want to go to university, because it'll suddenly become free. It is amazing to me how many people where I work did not understand the concept of free university tuition because they've never known it. I remember it. I remember grants. I remember all sorts of things. So yeah, let's see if we can do this. That's the wrong way. Turn it around again. No. Yeah. Let's get that centered. Yeah. So the question you should always ask yourself at the end of one of these things: where am I going? Who's coming with me? And never get the order screwed up. Thanks for watching.